everybody a good lunch and a little bit of downtime because we got to hit the ground running here. So we are ready for number 8. Remember, all this P stuff is just a hodgepodge of junk you're supposed to already know. We're reviewing it all. You're going to practice it all. If you have questions, you just ask. All right. We're going to write the equation of the circle. Circles, as you know, have a center and a radius. Do you remember what the equation of a circle looks like? Yeah.
Pi r squared.
Okay, very good. If I needed the area of my circle, pi r squared would be it. That's a valuable piece of information. We need to know pi r squared is the area of a circle. We're going to write the equation of a circle. So when I say y equals mx plus b, you all know that's the equation of a
Slope.
well, a line, right? M is the slope part of that, but that's a line. What does the equation of a circle look like? Well, in general, the equation of a circle looks like this. So H and K are the center. And R is, of course, the radius. So, if my center is 0, 0, then I'll have x minus 0 squared. This is the h. And y minus 0 squared equals 9. Now, after you get used to this, or maybe already, you're probably not going to write that. You're probably just going to write this. Would you agree that's the same thing? It doesn't matter to me at all which way you write it. Write it however you're comfortable. Sometimes we like to put the zeros in, sometimes we don't. Now, what about the next step? What if the center is 5 negative 4 and the radius is 6? Can anybody, Kellen, can you put together this equation, do you think? Equals, you're perfect so far. And R is 6. So R squared would be 36. 6 squared. Yep, you did a great job. That's it. That's the equation of the circle. Everybody get the plus in there? Because it's minus a negative. So your center is always going to be the opposite of what you see. So your center is 5 negative 4. All right. What about this one? Last one. Can you do this one? Yep.
Or the x minus 0 squared plus y plus, or yeah, y minus 4 squared equals 5.
I totally love it. Now, if you just put plain x squared here, that is okay too. Either one is fine, but that is the answer. Does anyone have a question about that? Okay. Now we're going to go backwards. So the equation, and you're gonna tell me the center and the radius. So for this first one, can you do what we just did backwards and tell me what the center and the radius are? Radius, or excuse me, center is 2, -3. Remember, it's always the opposite of what you see. And the radius is? 4. Beautiful. Beautiful. What about B? -5, 0. Everybody got the 0 there? And then what's our radius?
Square root of 7.
Square root of 7. And we leave it the square root of 7. We're not typing that in and getting some decimal, it's the square root of 7. C. 0, 0, and square root of 7. So far, so good? All right. While this is fresh in my mind, let's skip over to number 11, and then we'll come back and get 10. 10's a little different. Let's skip over it and do number 11. So here's the deal. Here's my circle. What's the diameter? You know what a diameter is. The diameter goes all the way across, right, through the center, like that. And I know that these points are 3, -6, and 4, 0. Now, if it bothers you that I didn't actually plot those points, then go ahead and plot them. You don't need to in this problem, but if you are more comfortable, go ahead and actually plot. It isn't gonna help you or hurt you in this particular problem. Oh, wait a second. Let's hang on to that thought. Our job is to write the equation of the circle, right? And I just erased it, but we want something like this. This is not the right answer, but isn't this, something like I want something like that? So in order to do that, what do I need to know? What's this? I need to know the center. Now, this is what I have. Can I figure out the center? How? Midpoint. Midpoint is average. So 3 and 4 divided by 2. I'm going to go ahead and say 7/2, but if you prefer 3.5, that's fine. -6 and 0 divided by 2. So now I know my center. So in terms of my equation, I can do x minus 7/2 or x minus 3.5 squared plus y plus 3 squared. So far, so good? Now, to finish, what do I need to know? My radius. This is my radius. Would everyone agree? Distance. Now, under normal circumstances, I would always just find this distance. I'm not particularly fond of this fraction in here. So I think I'm gonna find this distance. Can I do that? As long as I remember to divide it by 2?
Yeah.
It isn't gonna matter. If you are comfortable, remember, you're gonna be subtracting, squaring, and square rooting. I'd rather leave fractions out of that mix, but if you wanna do it, go ahead, it'll work. I'm gonna do this and divide by 2 after I figure it out. So here we go. My diameter is 3 minus 4 squared, right? X minus x. Please tell me we didn't forget the distance formula during lunch. X minus x squared. bless you, negative 6 minus 0 squared. So what have I got? 3 minus 4, 1, 36. So I got the square root of 37. My radius will be the square root of 37 over 2. Now, is that what goes here? No, I have to already divide by 2. When I put it in my equation, I have to square it. Now don't panic, because this is easy. What's the root 37 squared? 37. And 2 squared is 4. Now, if you want to do it decimally, it's perfectly okay, but it's easier just to do it this way. All right, are you ready? You and your partner do B. It's exactly the same problem. You and your partner do it. The center, the average. So 3 plus 4 divided by 2. Negative 6 plus 3.
Do the first one.
Oh, you just, so that's our answer. Oh, it's in the.
Oh, wait.
All right, this is what I came up with. Raise your hand if you got that group. Okay, good. Now, if you didn't get that, let's talk about it. So what do we need to talk about? This GTQ, guaranteed test question. Who needs to talk about this? No one? Now, this time, I don't know how you did it, doesn't matter. I went ahead, since I didn't have any fractions, I went ahead and used this as my radius. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, then I just don't have to divide by 2. If you did this, and you had to divide by 2, and if they're right, you got your diameter to be the square root of 136. So then your radius was the square root of 136 divided by 2. And then when you squared it, you got 136 over 4. And if you divide 136 by 4, look what happens. You get the same thing I did, right? Any question about that? let's go ahead and do number 12, because it's a midpoint, and then I promise we'll go back and get number 10. All right, but let's look at number 12 and see what's happening there. I have a line segment, AB, and it has a midpoint, M. And I know that M is 6, 2, and A is 5, 1, and I have to find the mystery point. Okay, so look at the problem and make sure this setup looks right to you. That look okay, everybody? Now, tell me your thoughts. You gotta figure this out. And remember, in math land, as long as you're not cheating, you know, Googling and copying and all that stuff, as long as it's coming from here, anything goes, it's fine. What are you thinking to do that? London, your hand up back there? What are you thinking?
Like we did like the same thing we did to get the radius, but we multiplied by 2.
Multiply what by 2?
The answer to the radius.
Oh, you mean like find this distance?
Yeah.
Okay, I want you to just be careful. I need to find this point, okay? If I find the distance, London, that's gonna be a radical. It's gonna be hard to make that radical into a point, right? But your idea is perfect. Let's do it, instead of doing the whole point, let's do just the x's. How far is it from 5 to 6?
1.
So it's gonna be another 1 to here, which will make that 7. So she's doing distance, but not the distance formula. She's doing just the x's, and now she's gonna do the y's. So 1 to 2 is 1. So this has gotta be 3. That, London, is probably the easiest way to do the problem. Good job. Let's see if we can do the next one. Point A is 7, 4. Point M is -3, -1, and you need to find point B. Now, I'm going to use London's option because I think it's the easiest way, but then we'll talk about other strategies you might have. Look at your x's. We're going from 7 to -3. We backed up 10. So now we gotta back up 10 more, which is gonna put me at -13. Guys, are you following? I'm just using London's logic here. We're not doing anything fancy. 4 to -1. Think of the number line. 4 to -1 would be -5. So now I gotta go -5 more, which is gonna put me at -6. Now, who had a different idea? Yep.
You could set it up by doing, midpoint. You could do
So average.
7 plus x over 2 equals -3.
All right, let's stop there and make sure everybody sees this. He says, I remember that midpoint is average. So whatever x is out here, the average of 7 and x has to be -3. So 7 and x divided by 2, is -3. So 7 plus x equals -6. So x equals -13, exactly what we got using our logic. And then the same thing for y. We okay, guys? All right, let's finish it up. Section 10, I'll stop after this. Write using absolute value. let's work on the number one. Let's say I have 5 and I have 8. If I said to you, how far apart, or what is the distance from 5 to 8, you would all say 3. And how did you get 3? What did you do in your mind? You subtracted, right? So you said I'm 8 minus 5, that would be 3. But we could have done 5 minus 8, and as long as we take absolute value, it's still 3, right? So either one of these would be fine. To find the distance, we subtract our numbers in either order and take the absolute value. So if it says my two numbers are x and 3, the distance will be them subtracted in absolute value. Now, if you want to do 3 minus x, good. I'm kind of like, I don't know, anal about it. I like to have my variable first. And since I'm in absolute value, it doesn't matter. So the distance is 8. You have written your equation. That's all there is to it. Distance is the absolute value of the subtraction, the difference. So what will B look like? Absolute value of x plus 2. How many caught that? It's actually x minus negative 2. Agreed? Now, is more than 7 greater than 7? Greater than 7. The distance between 4 and x is 12. So distance is automatically going to be an absolute value. I'm talking about two numbers. What do you want to put in here? The distance between 4 and x.
4 minus x.
You can put 4 minus x. I'm going to put x minus 4 because that's just my habit. When you're my age, you don't break habits, so I'm going to put x minus 4. But 4 minus x is 100% correct. Is 12.
Why would you put a addition sign there?
Because when I do distance, it's a subtraction problem, always, it's a difference. If I am subtracting a positive number, then it stays x minus 4. If I am subtracting a negative number, then it becomes positive. But it always starts out as a subtraction. All right, do D. See what you come up with. I want to see, and I want to see somebody's idea. Who will come up and put your answer on the board so we can look at it? Okay, yep,
The answer?
yeah. The equation that you came up with for number 4. Let's see how he did. Nice and big, Joe Bobby. All right, what do we think? The distance between x and 5, that part looks good, right? Is no more than 3. So he put less than or equal to 3. Perfect, Harvey. Good job. All right, put that away, get out your homework real quick. We're gonna look at P2. You got 4 minutes. Pick a problem. I'll do as much as I can. We're looking at P2. Tell her, wake up, smell the coffee here, dudes. We're on P2. Yep, here we go. P2, which one shall we do? Now we're down to 3 minutes.
C.
C. Okay, now, C, in order to do C, we have to do A and B. So we'll start and get as much done as we can. So here are my points. AB means the distance from A to B. So that'll be a big radical. 7 minus 3 squared, 4 minus 2 squared. I'm doing my distance formula. That's what AB means. With me? So now I'll do math. So what have I got? 7 minus 3, 16. And 4. I got root 20, which is 2 radical 5. That is what goes in the answer blank for letter A, because that's the distance from A to B. Uh-huh. Midpoint, not totally. Midpoint, all right? So take your 2 points and find the average x. What is your average x?
10.
Well, when I add these, I get 10, but I have to divide by 2, so it's 5. 2 and 4 divided by 2 is 3. So here is the answer to part A. That is the total distance from A to B. Here is the answer to part B. Here's my midpoint. And then C says, okay, now put it all together and write the equation. All right, so here's my center. So x minus 5 squared, right? Plus y minus 3 squared. Now, what has to go here? Radius. Now, what was this? That was the diameter. So to get my radius, I'm going to have to divide that by 2. So the radius is root 5.
No, 5.
Well, in the equation, then r squared is 5. So there it is. There it is. The radius was the square root. But remember, when you write your equation, that's r squared. So square root of 5 squared. Alrighty. P2 will be due on Wednesday.
And is the quadrants go 1, 2, 3?
Oh my goodness.
I'll forget. Can't remember. That's why I'm okay. Yeah. Not right there here.
No, you want the whole equation. This is correct. Alright, rip it off, turn it in. Yep. You rip them off a page at a time and turn them in.